His career in St. Louis amateur hockey began in 1972 by sponsoring the Afton House team. In 1975, he took over the CBC hockey program as president and chief financial benefactor. In 1978, he reached out through partnering to recover a struggling Immerfrost ice rink to keep ice available. In 1980, Jim became owner and partner of the Brentwood Blazers. As this league began to condense, Jim continued his financial support as owner of the Afton Americans in 1984 and ultimately of the St. Louis Junior Blues in 1987. And he then became very instrumental in the Junior Blues' continuing efforts. Now, as St. Louis hockey has grown, he has continued to support the various youth programs that compete at national and international levels, and that includes such as teams like Team Quebec, Prospects, the St. Louis Storm, etc. He does go under the premise that St. Louis hockey player comes first and should be given a fair shot at moving on to the next level. And through the years, he has supported and proudly watched his 7 sons, okay, just making sure the last name wasn't Sutter, and even grandsons play at the amateur, high school, junior, and college ranks. Jim would be the first to admit that all of this would not be possible without the loving support of his wife, Virginia. Let's please welcome and congratulate Jim Jost.
I too will have a sharp one here because my wife's in the front row and she's got the hook. I also want to thank Bruce Affleck and the Blues, and of course the big job that Scotty Rupp and Craig Harrison and the guys have all done, John Ferrara. I, like so many other people here in St. Louis, really didn't know anything about hockey at all until the Blues came here in the late 60s. And exciting game, we enjoyed it, we went to some games. Fell in love with hockey. Good bunch of guys. It seemed like everything was going to be going with the Blues. It was the talk of the town. Shortly after that, here comes Bill Sullivan with the Division I hockey team that we didn't even know what that was, how good it was to bring a group like that into St. Louis. A lot of Canadian kids that knew how to play hockey. And within about 3 or 4 years, they were a contender, and a really good contender. It's a shame that we didn't know all about it back then, because we'd still have a team like that here. They were just way ahead of their time. But like I say, that was the talk of the town. Everything was going smooth. And in about 1972, one of the county papers put a little article in there that there was going to be a rink in South County. They were going to build a rink on Gravois Road right across from Grant's Forum. It was going to be kind of a voluntary thing. They wanted people to help get it started. They were looking for contributors. They wanted the kids to sign up and be able to play at in the 72 season. Of course, my 3 older sons decided they'd love to do that, and my wife immediately signed them up, and I went down a few Saturdays with a shovel in hand and tried to do some good. That was a big job. It's a homemade rink. It was amazing to see 2 Blues down there, Barclay Plager and Noel Picard. Of course, Barclay Plager can't be with us tonight. His brother's here, and we got the big Noel. It was amazing. They were working. Noel's carrying concrete block, and he's got a shovel, and he's in mud up to his ankles, and trying to drive a bobcat, and he got it stuck. and a few good bottles of beer, yeah. A lot of fun. Everybody fell in love with these guys, and they were there for one thing. They wanted to have St. Louis kids play hockey. This wasn't a photo op somewhere. They were there to work, and immediately everybody fell in love with them. They're just good guys. They probably did more, Bruce, to sell tickets to Blues games than any sales group you've ever had. I mean, these guys just took over that area. They put in a lot of work. They got it going. After the rink was up, they come around and helped organize teams. We didn't know what offside was, and it worked out well. If you go to the rink even now, and look at the boards, the back of the boards, they're made out of 2x4s and 2x6s, 2x8s, and there's plywood in front of it. They were homemade, and they're still standing. So everybody did a good job, but I can't say enough about these guys for what they did. I don't think we'd have been involved in hockey at all. So it's grown and grown and grown. After the first year with 3 of my boys, Johnny Played the next year was 4. Then I had a daughter come along. She skated a little bit down there too every once in a while. Then the rest of the boys, all 7 of them played there. And they're really a good time. Now they're coaching, they're involved in management down there. I've got grandsons that went through, and it's just become a great program. While this was all going on, of course, the older ones get old enough to get into high school. And of course, I'm an alumnus at CBC, and I wanted him to go there. Jim decided to go there, and all 6 of his brothers followed him, and then the grandkids. So it was great. I tickled pink because I loved it. We get out there and find out they've got a hockey team. They're just getting started. The early years were purple and gold. It's kind of the Los Angeles Kings old uniforms, and the league was struggling, trying to get going. That's where I first met Herman and Charlie, of course, and we put together a team. Through attrition, after 3 or 4 years, I became the coordinator, and like it was saying that we moved into an area where we started to get more and more competitive. We made a couple smart moves, and one of them was to hire a couple of the ex-Billikens that stayed down here and got married. One was Rick Kennedy and Doug Butler. And they took our program to some great levels. They're good guys. They knew what they were doing. They knew a lot more about hockey than we did, and they put a lot of it to work. I think Bill Selman did a good job with them, and they passed on a lot of the things that they had learned. As a result, we just kept going and going and going. It was a perfect marriage with the school because they treated us like any other team. They're good people, and we adhered to exactly what they wanted, and it worked fine. These were fine gentlemen who were not only coaching well. Rick coached for about 16 years. He had 4 championship teams, but he also trained the new batch of coaches coming up. He trained my son John, who's been coaching ever since, and the program's just grown and grown and grown. So I can't say enough about, again, a couple of guys that stepped forward and helped us. Rick is here this evening. He deserves a big hand. Come on, stand up, Rick. Now, while this is all going on, of course, we're still over at Afton. We're still playing. The younger guys are playing now. The younger ones are born. They're real active in hockey, and now we still got high school going on. Now they get to a point where they want to get involved in the juniors. What's this new juniors thing? Now, of course, while this is all going on, my wife's going to every one of the games. She hasn't missed a game. She's there constantly. So the juniors, as he said before, just grew and grew and grew. We found out at one point we had 5 or 6 teams. It was a great league. We had a lot of fun, but we weren't competing nationally because we were so spread out. Buffalo and Philadelphia were coming in to our tournaments with one team from that city, and they were really great. So as attrition went on, we started getting down to 2, 3 teams. We brought Peoria in one year, and finally it got to a point where Blazers had merged with the Americans. The Comets were gone. The Blues, Americans, decided to get together. Tom Herster, Frank Ferrer, and myself, we sat down and decided how we would do it. We tried to send Tom up to try to see if we can get in the Central States League, which he did. And from there on, we went down to one team. It was going to be using the Blues name and using the Afton rink at that time, Afton coaches, put it together with one team, and it just moved on and on and on. The big point there is we play with all St. Louis kids. It's for St. Louis kids. With all the other teams, we keep politics out of it. There's no ego too big. It's for the kids, whatever it takes. It's our ambition to move young St. Louis players into colleges, maybe into the pros. A couple of them are playing now that played with us for a little while and doing real well. If we keep going the way we're going now and St. Louis building as fast as it is, I feel that we're one of the, he mentioned before about Chicago, that we can go out and beat Chicago. We've done that in high school leagues consistently. We've got a real program going, and I think the Blues have been so influential, especially the program they got going now, and we're just moving in the right direction. I mentioned 3 different programs I've been involved in. I mean, there's dozens more, and there's dozens of people that went through the same thing. I think St. Louis Amateur Hockey deserves a big hand. Everybody's done a good job. Thank you. On that note, I think I'm going to sit down and I see the hook coming out. Thanks for coming. Good year, yeah. This is good. You want to take a picture right here with the girls? What's your shot?